Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Mariandrea, and I have a special book review kind of video. So this is Grinchmas video. So my Grinchmas video is a book that I underrated, a book that I gave a lower rating to. And since that experience, I've had some time to think about it. I haven't been able to stop thinking about this book. I've mentioned it to friends um, outside of the book club, outside of my reading time with the book. I've um, I've alluded to the book. I think I've brought it up in other videos that I've posted on my channel about other books or other reading experiences or other thoughts um, that were not filmed during the time that I read the book. So I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop talking about it. I'm actually finding myself recommending this book more and more now that it's set in and I've had time to process my reading. Sometimes when we read, we have expectations, and maybe we go into a book thinking or expecting the book is going to show us one thing and it shows us something else. And I think that's what happened to me with this book. This book was a book that I read having different expectations. And when it wasn't what I expected, I struggled with what it was. And I gave it a 2-star rating initially. But I've changed my mind. I feel like the Grinch, my heart has grown several sizes. It's grown at least 2 or 3 sizes. So I can't stop talking about this book. I've been thinking about it. I actually reread it so that I could film this video because I was like, I really want to talk about this book. I can't stop thinking about it. I want to talk about it. I want to redeem myself in my rating. I want to make sure that I give it its well deserved love. And I think I was a Grinch towards this book, and I want to make that better. So this is going to be hopefully a 5-minute review video. And the book that I want to talk about today is How to Be Eaten by Maria Adelman. I first read this book with my in real life book club, my group of friends. We read 3 books a year, and this was the first book we read this year. And we met in April, March or April, to talk about this book. And my book club friends loved this book. I think they all gave it like 5 stars. And I was the Grinch at the table saying it was a 2-star read because I was expecting something different from it. And it wasn't that. I've come to terms with that. I've heard my friends out. Their love and praise for this book has stayed with me. And I've been able to kind of come around and release the expectations that I had for it. And so I want to tell you more about it. So this book is about a group of women, modern day women living in New York City, and they are protagonists in fairy tales. So you'll recognize some of the fairy tales. There's Bernice, um, and there's Ruby, and there's Gretel, and there's Raina. I might be missing one, but they all come together. Ashley, I'm missing Ashley. They all come together and they're in like, you think initially, and this is where I went wrong, you think initially that um, they are kind of in a recovery group, like a support group to help women um, who've been publicly shamed, like give them support. And it almost feels like very victim blaming and like initially the support group treats them like victims. And I didn't know where it was going, but I thought it was going to be more like heady, like more in your head, more mental health, more unpacking trauma. And it wasn't that. It was more like a romp. And this book was, the characters in this book were very well told. their development probably moderate. I mean, it's not a long book, so you can't really flesh out all of the trauma from the fairy tales that these women lived through and all of the effects of public shaming that they've experienced since they were in the fairy tale, their fairy tale moment or their fairy tale era. And so for what it is and for how like the length of this book, I think the development of the characters is moderate and very good. It's dark, and the characters, the women in the support group are dark. They've been through a lot. Sometimes they they come off as one would be when one goes through a really difficult time, jaded, tired, sarcastic, angry, uh, confused, uncertain, unsure, um, sad, afraid, um, vengeful, all sorts of different kinds of feelings and behaviors. And they are also very funny. They are moody, they are sarcastic, they are poignant and direct, and oftentimes speak very like no filter. And that makes them feel very real. Um, the plot, the plot is there's not a whole lot of plot. These women are gathering in sessions to talk about their stories, and every session, a different woman gets to tell her story. And as each woman goes around the group and tells her story over the course of weeks or days, um, you get to know them a little bit better, and they start to build relationship with each other and alliances with one another, and that's really interesting to see play out. Um, there is not a whole lot of plot, but there is a whole lot of drama. So if you love drama in your books, this one probably won't disappoint you because there's a lot of drama in here. And these characters bring their drama with them to the sessions and with each other. And you see their like projection onto one another. And yeah, they challenge each other. They're direct with each other and they really challenge each other and the stories that they're telling and how they're telling their stories. It's really powerful and interesting to read. And I think that the drama around this book is also plays out as a bit unexpected. I'm not gonna say more. I'll let you find the unexpected parts of the story, but there are things that kind of come to the reader as perhaps a bit unexpected. And I think that's where I struggled initially because my expectations were like veering one way and the book was showing me other things that I wasn't ready to see. But I've come around. I've really come around. This is also a feminist perspective. So this book talks about feminism, unpacks feminism without telling you that it's unpacking feminism. This book shows you how to unpack feminism in the power to tell for women and non-male people to be able to unpack their their stories. I think it doesn't just apply to women, but this is women, the female characters. But I think that generally when we are oppressed or we are um, publicly shamed, we we maybe are like we lose a bit of our sense of power and stories get spun out and perhaps people project things onto you as a public figure, um, and it's not at all who you are or what your intentions may have been, but it is how we see it. We see it a lot with like celebrities and drama with celebrity um, tabloids and things like that. So we don't ever really know the true story. We just know what we project onto it or we are told. And the story is not always 100% what is actually happening. But um, back to feminism, when women have the right and the power and the ability to tell their own stories and take ownership of their stories and tell them their own way. I think that creates a lot of power. And I have to say that I've been thinking about Taylor Swift. If I could recommend this book to a celebrity, I would recommend this book to Taylor Swift because I love Taylor Swift. I love her music. Um, I one of my favorite workouts is to Taylor Swift jam. So that's where I'm coming from. But as I was reading this and thinking about what Maria Adelman, the author, was maybe trying to do and how well she did it, I was thinking about Taylor Swift and how well she's redone her albums and the way she's produced them herself with the way she wanted to tell her stories, the way she wanted to share her music. So I really feel like I saw Taylor Swift in here in her taking ownership of her music and her doing things her way. And I feel like Maria Adelman showed us a way to do that and showed us these characters finding their voice and telling their stories. And it was pretty great. Um, who should read this book? Everyone and anyone who loves fairy tales and believes. I'm having my notes right here, so I'm looking sideways because I don't want to miss it. Trying to do this in 5 minutes. Who wants to believe in the power of reclaiming narratives? So, if you love fairy tales and you love the idea of reclaiming your power through um, narrative therapy, um, a narrative retelling, a shifting of your narrative. I think all of that is really encouraging in this novel. And my rating initially, it was not what I expected it to be, and I was a Grinch, total Grinch. I was a Grinch, and I gave it 2 stars. I am so sorry. I have taken my time with this book. I've thought about it. I've reflected on it. I've reread it and found a new appreciation for it. And now I own a copy. I didn't own one before. I own a copy. It's on my shelves. I've actually reread it and I love it. And I can't wait to talk to people about it. I continue the conversation. I will probably recommend this book to people in my real life. And my friends loved it. We all loved it as a book club. Everybody gave it a 5 rating but me. I'm ready to join my book club in their love for this book. And I am giving it 5 stars. Merry Grinchmas to everyone. Merry Christmas, Merry Grinchmas. I am so happy to be able to redeem myself with my rating and kind of find my way back to a more um, open and curious perspective. And I love that this book pulled me through a whole year of just thinking about what the author was trying to do. That's it. I hope I made it in 5 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Hasta la próxima.